Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Steel Crew. I am your host, Old Dead Man. We are going to do a quick tutorial of sorts on how to drive the Sherman Firefly. I'll be picking up with the other tanks and the other positions on additional videos going forward. So today I'm going to focus on the Sherman Firefly driving it, okay? Let's get set up, and I'll join you after we're ready to get going. All right, the Sherman Firefly is in the United Kingdom side, and I'm going to go ahead and start as a driver in the first tank. So this should get us in position to get started. Let's go ahead and start the game. Now I've got the game filling full of bots, so... Alright, welcome into the Sherman Firefly driver's position. We have some instruments over here on the left. We have our tillers right here. And we got our gear shift, which has an interesting shifting pattern. I'll talk to you about the shifting pattern in a moment. Let's start off with the most obvious things. We have our vision port right here. If we lean forward, we can take a look out and see where the tank is pointing. We have our tillers right here. Our gear shift right here. On our right, we have a compass. And it seems like I can just barely make out the numbers, so they're not too bad on this right now. And on the left is the first part we're going to really be talking about significantly. This is your control panel or instrument panel. We have across the top here, this is the gear you're in. So if I reach over and grab the gear shift, I can shift into a different gear. Great, okay. And you can see the light hop back and forth. On the left here, you have the first instrument that makes absolutely no difference to you. This is the battery meter, amperes. You have your oil pressure right here. You have your engine temperature and your fuel gauge. Down here is the first instrument that actually matters, and that is the RPM gauge, which obviously tells you how much your engine's stressing out as you move. Next to it, in the middle here, is the miles per hour, or your speed. Understand, as far as I know, you're never hitting 60 miles per hour in this tank. So keep that in mind. And here is your damage percentage. If you get to 100% damages and you've been damaged up to 100%, your tank blows up. So this is the instrument panel. Again, gears, not useful, useful. Now that we've kind of seen the instrument panel, we can look at the controls a little bit more closely. First up, for my setup on the Oculus here, this button right here is the accelerator pedal. That'll be the trigger button. And this here is the brakes. So right side's the accelerator, left side's the brakes. The grip buttons right here are how you grip the tillers. As you can see, even though I'm not accelerating, I can force a rotation, so pretty awesome. Now you can move forward with nothing more than just what I've just shown you. You can hit the accelerator button and you can steer the tank using just the tillers. Problem is, if you look at your instruments, you'll see that you've maxed out your RPM gauge and you're only going about 4 miles per hour. So this would be slow moving, so let's shift into another gear. You grab the gear shift, and we move to second gear. Now I'm about to hit some trees, so I'm going to go ahead and adjust here. Now that I'm up to about 3,500 RPM or more, I can shift into third gear. By the way, I'll pop up a picture of the gear shift pattern because it is kind of unusual. And now that we're kind of underway, I can also now shift into, once we get to about 3,000 to 3,500 RPM, about time to shift to the next higher gear. So now we're up to fourth gear. And we're cooking along pretty good, almost 20 miles per hour. And it definitely feels like you're moving. And we're over 3,000, so we're going to shift into fifth gear. And we are moving along. We are trucking right along. So now we've got the basics. We can use the tiller. We pull on the left handle. That turns us to the left. We pull on the right handle. That turns us to the right. And as we slow down, we'll want to downshift to give our engine a little more power for acceleration. You do not need to remove your hand from the accelerator button to get moving, so all good on that one. So I'm still using that. And you can keep your hands on the tillers. In fact, you probably will do that most of the time unless you're shifting. Shifting is kind of a weird deal. You have to let go of your tiller with the grip button, then grip the gear shift and make the shift. Now that red bar to immediately to the left here, that's the edge of the map. So don't be trying to go that way. In the meantime, let's go ahead and rotate this tank around. If you need to go backwards, there is a reverse position. It's all the way up here. It's hard to see. So I'll pop the gear shift pattern right here. And then you can just hit the button and it'll move backwards. Alright, now that we've shown all that, let's open the hatch so we can actually see what we're doing. Yes, you can drive your entire time looking out this vision slot. But if you'll reach up here and hit the grip button on the hatch, now you can poke your head out of the tank. And this gives you a lot more viewing range. See, I can see all around. I can see what the gun's doing now. And I can actually do a lot more to help with controlling the tank. And keep an eye on what's going on. I can look around left, right, center. It does mean it's a longer run to get my hand on the gear shift, so that is one of the downsides. And as I upshift each time, I'm just listening to the engine. When it sounds about right, that's when I'm upshifting. Now, pro tip for those who do a lot of driving, when you come to these roads that are a little bit elevated, you can either hit them at a bit of an angle, or if it's a little bit flat, you can just go straight over them. However, some of these roads have a lot of oomph on the shoulders, and if you hit them at full speed, you will in fact flip the tank. Ask me how I know. Now, if you were paying attention as we got going uphill, the engine actually started lugging down and not able to pull the weight. So I actually downshifted to a lower gear to make sure I could keep moving with my tank. Now this is a friendly tank. All the Sherman Fireflies are friendly, obviously. But this gives me enough view I can see what's going on. And he's just sitting there. Look at what he's doing. Now as I crest the hill, I can keep the tank under control with the tillers and look around. If you actually go against players and not just bots, you will find that you will want to, when the action starts and you're in close range combat, you'll want to pop back inside the tank. And the reason is because if you get machine gunned, your entire vision turns red. I don't know, I think you can still control the tank, but you can't see what you're doing. And that's going to make driving the tank a lot more difficult. That said, if you have a good commander who's paying attention, he can probably direct you on what to do and talk you where you need to go, because if you're going to be controlling it from the vision slot anyway, it's not like you're seeing much. Be careful in these areas, especially because they do have drop-offs, so you can end up going off a drop-off. Let's go ahead and see if I can do this. Woohoo! And that is a rolled over tank. And I'm back on my treads. Woohoo! Cha-ching! Alright, so that is how you drive the Sherman Firefly. We'll go on to the gunner position in a future video and the commander's positions, because all three positions are pretty vital to the operation of the tank. The last thing you want to know... Hi, enemy tank. The last thing you want to know is if I hold down this B button... If I hold down this B button, I'm going to hold it out here in front of me so I can see. It'll let me switch positions in the tank, including a reset camera. And what I find is that for my particularly generous proportions, that the standard camera position is too close. I can't actually manipulate the gear shift. So I end up sitting forward a bit and then forcing a reset camera. And now I can see all the controls and all the instruments and be able to function in the tank. And that is how you drive the Sherman Firefly. If you enjoyed this video and would like more Steel Crew content, give me a thumbs up and leave a comment below. You have a great rest of your day, and we will see you in Steel Crew.